and welcome everybody to today's show of Sunny Morning here at the Dorado Royale in Mexico's Riviera Maya. I'm Elliot Bullman.
And I am Silvia Reza. And if you wish for your wife or husband to stay reconnected with you for the rest of the year, stay with us. Find out.
Yeah, that's going to be a great topic. Today is Tuesday, Romance Day. So couples, stay tuned. And as we come back from this short commercial, we'll be covering all of today's top stories. Stay with us. Welcome to the show. Today we've got so much to talk about. I mean, the news, over the last of the weekend, it had me captivated, Sylvia. Donald Trump, obviously at the break end of last week, agreeing to go and have talks now with North Korea. Let's talk about this. And
I would qualify this like a major earthquake for every country in the world. Every country in the world.
Everybody's like this. I don't have any fingernails left, and it hasn't even happened yet. If it does happen, it's a big if. A day is a long time in politics, so we've got until May to wait to see if this doesn't fall apart. Because, Kim Jong-un has promised before to host or to get engaged with talks with America and talk about, disarmament. What do you think has brought him to this point? Why do you think he's now agreed after all of these months? Only 8 months ago, both of these two were it was going to be World War III. They were trading barbs with each other. They wanted to basically press the red button 8 months ago.
Well, I heard the communication director from Casablanca or the White House. Remember, some Spanish words here and there. But anyway, the communication director said that, and I agree, that is pressure. The name is pressure. I think North Korea has a lot of pressure right now from different countries. And I think also it's a good strategy from Mr. Trump in this case, because what he actually did, number one, is create alliance with, Germany and China and
especially
South Korea, of
Absolutely.
course. And they've been helping them a lot. And also, I think finally, North Korea is actually feeling the pressure, and that's why he is starting to sit and try to listen and trying to make a deal. So President Trump, that's why I believe that he is trusting that conversation, that meeting, actually could have success, because all the set that he put up at the front before, which I think is a strategy, and in this time I could say that it's a brilliant strategy. Actually, that's why now it makes sense to me, the fact that he was making so much pressure on China with the tariffs, right?
Yeah, it's a similar tactic.
What I think is that it's a strategy from Trump, so that way he wants China as an ally, but at the same time, China is very powerful. So if he releases China from the power, then Trump or United States will be in control 100%. It doesn't matter what happened, he will be in control. So that was smart.
Well, I agree. This has been the build up to this. It's fascinated me because several months ago, let's say 4 or 5 months ago, just before Christmas, Trump's administration were advising him, why don't you have talks with him? Why don't you try and settle this instead of sending tweets and calling him the madman or calling him Rocket Man, and all the insults. And then obviously Kim Jong-un comes back with calling him a dotard, and so it got really obviously out of hand. But at that time Trump said there's absolutely no way. He scoffed at the idea of having talks and said, there's only one way to settle this. And obviously militaristically. So now, he's got South Korea. They just had talks with North Korea, didn't they, just after the Olympics?
Exactly.
And President Moon of South Korea has this emergency debriefing meeting at the White House last Thursday and says, oh, by the way, Mr. Trump, we're just to let you know, I spoke to Kim Jong-un, and he'd be interested to have talks with you. Next thing you know, Trump, without regard at all to his advisors, Rex Tillerson didn't know anything about this, and he says, let's do it. I'm willing to do it. And he sends President Moon out onto the White House lawn to give the announcement to the world's press. Again, that's really unprecedented to send a foreign ambassador outside of the White House lawn to deal with the press. So, I mean, he's doing a lot of things very... it's kind of very unconventional politics, but he's definitely got the attention of Kim Jong-un with all this, like
Definitely.
you say.
He surrounded him with pressure from different countries. That's why also the United Nations are making a lot of pressure on him, commercially wise, to North Korea. And he knows, North Korea, of course, knows and has the power. He does have so much power, and he could actually, he's a very dangerous country and leader to the rest of the world. So, of course, it's a good strategy. The only thing in here is that I understand what Trump is probably doing, like I mentioned before, with China, making pressure also in China. So he wants him as an ally, but also, but I am the director, I am the man in here. Okay, so you're my ally, but I need to have control on you. But also it's a good thing, because if he doesn't do that, well, China could be very dangerous as well. I mean, China could go like all over the world.
Well, yeah, I mean, China, we're going to be coming up with the talking about China very shortly, because they are a very important part of this triangle. You know, China's going to keep up pressure on North Korea until this happens. I mean, the trade sanctions, like Trump said, he's not going to lift those trade sanctions before the meeting. Kim Jong-un says they'll do no more missile tests between now and the meeting. But historically, you know, this isn't the first time that talks were going to come together. I mean, during President Clinton's era, he tried to get around the table with North Korea. This whole idea of denuclearization has been going on for decades. But famously, it's like Kim Jong-un has usually backtracked, or he usually changes his mind and talks don't go ahead. But I don't know, this time, from what we've seen so far in the whole build-up to this, it's like watching a Rocky movie, you know? It's like between the two of them, two powerhouses. The
dangerous part is that they both have some like sociopaths, you know, a range of thinking. And if one thing goes wrong from one or another, I mean, they can explode, because they normally actually do that. They both are like in the same level of power, thinking, reaction, everything. Yeah. So if that goes wrong, then of course, there is only a name for that: war. And I hope, you know, we hope that doesn't happen, but yes, it could be also a possibility. We also need to face that, and we cannot close our eyes to reality or to one possibility.
Well, yeah, for me, I mean, Trump's whole stance on international affairs, you know, world affairs, he's yet to really clinch something. He needs to take something home from this now. He needs to put something in the bag for the United States, because he's failed in the Middle East. You know, he hasn't brought Israel and Palestine back together. He's actually further away from when he took office. Also, he hasn't yet signed a trade agreement, so NAFTA's still up in the air. So he hasn't renegotiated any old trade agreements, and he hasn't signed any new trade agreements. So he really needs something big on this one. He needs to hit a home run on this, don't you think?
Exactly, definitely. Well, I mean, this time, I mean, even though it's very unconventional the way he's doing everything, they both have to be very careful on that meeting, because I mean, something bad could happen for the rest of the world if they don't settle down, and if, especially North Korea, he really needs to get to the point where he needs to work with us, with the rest of the world, not just looking after himself. Because, I mean, one country alone, it cannot do anything at all, and nowadays, much less. It has to be, it's like we're a team, and overall, we are humans, like I always have said, and we gotta, like, look for each other.
Yeah, well, the media will be dissecting every word, body language, will be bringing you more information, more coverage of this as it breaks here on the show. So stay with us. We're going to take a short commercial break, and afterwards we'll be continuing with today's top stories.